All right, let's do this. So, yeah, I only did one bean, but I spent a lot of time on the hat. So it was a near 2-hour stream. And again, I forgot to do marbles. Forgot to do marbles, and I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I got it. Yeah. So we're gonna make some beans tonight. Hopefully try to play marbles. If there's, I had 5 people that I raided with. I had 5 people that I raided with, so it was kind of cool. All right, let's go. So yeah, if I could make beans and make a living doing it, I would do that. I love making the beans. I'm spending a little too much time making the beans, but you can tell how much I've changed since I've started. And there's a couple beans in the circle actually that I probably should do an update on, and I might just do that tonight. Waifu with an ifu, my darling, stopped by, and it was so nice to have her. Not this past stream, but the stream before, and I had to crank out the original bean that I made for her. Yeah, may update it. It might happen. Yeah, yesterday's morning commute, I've been kind of like really, like, I've been in a weird space, I have to admit, and hanging out with certain streamers, they kind of reminded me, why we do this, why we stream, and they were saying they do it for the money, and they said anybody who says they don't do it for the money is just a liar. And if there was hell, just so you know, if I could quit my job and do streaming full time, I would do that. So, am I doing it for the money? Yeah, there's a part of me that does it. I don't like making Twitch money for nothing, and putting all the burden and all the creating and the doing on they leave that all up to me, while they just take the money. But I'm obviously not making money, and so when there's not money being made, the why you do it comes into question, and then that's when you say, am I doing it for the money? And it's money is not the goal. I will go to this stinky job. I will go to my stinky job, till I retire, and not have, not earn a dime streaming. The growth that I have as an artist, or a digital artist, I have to really say that, because I really don't do practical art or real life art or sculpting or anything like that anymore. So that I'm not growing as an artist in that way. But as a digital artist, I've definitely grown from where I was to where I am now. And it's nice when people recognize that and see that. And, when people talk about what a great artist I am, I talk about feed my ego, feed it to no end. But the ego needs to be fed. The ego is hungry. And I recognize that. Just so you know, I certainly recognize that. When people do that, I know how raises my endorphins. It does all that stuff. I'm a normal person, I guess. Because I'll be absolutely upfront. I don't think much of my digital art. I know what I'm doing for me. I know what it does for me. But somebody said they liked something, just so you know, it was the Booba Swipe. And they talked about how great it was and how wonderful it was and everything like that. And so I did my usual, do you want one? And they, of course, said yes. And then they were like, well, I don't know which character I want you to make. And it's like, that's not how this works. That's not how it works. You should just leave it up to me. Just say yes and let it go. If you were paying me, I will make you whatever you want. But you're not paying me, and we just had the discussion about freaking doing this for money. And I don't. It's one of the reasons why I don't put a price tag on it. So I made the offer. The offer's there. They said yes, but they said they needed with a caveat. And I know how that works. I've been down that road. And with the caveat, it's in their court now. And I'm not even gonna bring it up. It's not even gonna be a part of it. It's just like the original person who inspired me to make the Booba Swipes. Said that if they had, they're funny. If they had an animated emote, they would want, and they said, the Booba Swipe, they would want, the card swipe going down the boobs, and they described the whole thing. And I chimed in, like I normally do. I, took it on as a challenge and created it. I spent basically 2 full days, and then some, creating it. It took me, in time-wise, like I said, it took both my days off to work on it and get it done. And I think it was like 16 hours each day. So that was 32 hours, of time. Just spent on it right away. And then on top of that, it took me 2 more days, and I probably worked on it 6 hours, so another 12 hours. So yeah, it took to put it in perspective. The Spider-Man Upside Down Kiss. Now I already had the Spider-Man hanging from a thread upside down. Already had that made. But that took me 1 day and probably about 5-6 hours to create the emote. And then when I finished it, I'm like, oh yeah, it took me only like 4 days to make, but most of that time was spent making the animation. Seeing how many cells I was going to have and everything like that, which turned out to be 18. There's 18 cells of animation in the Booba Swipe. When I had another person say they loved it, and I was like, I'll make it for you. When I made it for them, it took three sessions of 2 hours just to draw them on the template that was already created. And so that was 6 hours right there. And then I think it took me another 2 hours off stream. So 8 hours. It took me 8 hours to make. And everyone since has taken me a long time. I say it takes me 3 days to make. But every single one of them, if I was to stream it, it would take up my week of art streams just to get one Booba Swipe done. And that's without trying to catch the Pokemon. That's without having conversations with people. I was already getting into I'm so invested in thinking about this that when people came in and said hi and stuff like that, I was already missing them, and that to me like breaks my heart, because there's no other reason to stream in my mind than to converse with people. There's none. I don't have another reason to stream. If I'm not conversing with people, I might as well do it all, out of stream. Like, to put it in perspective, I'm not rushing the popcorn stream, the popcorn animation. I'm not rushing that at all, and it has taken me like forever. It definitely has the detriment of I only spending a couple hours every day working on it. I struggled with the animation, and now I'm struggling with creating the eating of the popcorn with the actual emote itself. I had to like make sure that it's condensed enough so that you can tell what it is. There's a lot going into it. I just recently did the eyes. Booba Swipe does not have eyes. Booba Swipe does not have eyes. Booba Swipe have one hand, and it's not the hand. I don't have to redraw the hand or anything like that. It's one hand swiping. And I made that hand, skin tone, still skin tone, but a little more yellow than most people, so that it actually will. You can actually see the difference. But the year of the Booba Swipe, which is called card swipe because Twitch doesn't like the word booba, and we'll get it. Yeah, I've gotten into that. can't tell you how many streamers that I know toe that line, and I am definitely a little bit gun shy about pulling that trigger now than I was when I first started streaming. When I first started streaming, it didn't matter to me. I would talk about all, everything. I would curse. I was loaded with curses before. Now I don't even curse on my streams. Everything is above board. Everything I keep right above board with it. One thing that still kind of pisses me off that it happens still, and I don't know, I can't tell you in what numbers the spammers are in, but it's definitely a different name every time, definitely a ban every time. Sometimes it's the same address, sometimes it's not. Sometimes I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're AI. I don't know if they're a real person, coming into spam. I don't care. But it's every stream. I even cracked the joke that because people don't see that aspect of it. Sometimes they get through. Sometimes the AI, the auto mod doesn't catch it, and it gets through, and I have to have a deleted thing, but the address gets through, which kind of pisses me off. But they have to serve a purpose. I mean, if idiots didn't click on it, click on the link. I think there's a way. I think there's a way to block links. Entirely on Twitch, but I really don't want to do that. But I'm really getting tempted to block links totally. Because banning them's not stopping it. It's not. There's no. It's relentless, and it's kind of tiresome. I miss. I definitely miss having people coming in because I've pretty much made everybody mods. Everybody I have a rapport with, I make a mod. And out of all those mods that I have, even if they're there, they don't really do any type of modding duties. That happened last night. They were like, well, one, they got hit with the ad. They were like going, "Oh, this stinks." I thought the mods didn't get hit with the ads, and I was like going, "Well, that was originally the reason why I made everybody mods was so that they would stop seeing ads." But Twitch decided that was not what we're going to be doing anymore. And I think it's because people were doing what I was doing. I mean, you used to be able to set it for once an hour. Well, you used to be able to turn off ads completely. Twitch put a stop to that, and then you were able to do 30 seconds every hour. I think it was the minimum that you could do for the longest time, and they put a stop to that, and now it's every half hour. I'm not kidding. Every half hour, 3-minute ads. And one of the things that I could do is I could, take a break and run the ad early, but it would still be on the half hour. So like I could take a 3-minute break, run an ad whenever that was, wherever it is in the half hour. So let's say we had an ad and I was like going, oh, I'm going to take a break, and the ad just finished and it's only been like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and so I run the 3-minute ad again. Hit people, double dose them up with ads, take my break, come back from my break, and wherever, like let's say I take a 5-minute break, I'm still now 2 minutes into the for the next ad. Oh, actually, no. I think the ads. I would be 5 minutes into the next ad. So it's 27 minutes and a 3-minute ad. And yeah, when I think about like how TVs used to run, I think they would run an ad every 15 minutes, and depending on the cartoon, for a half-hour show, they would run it every 10 minutes. So they would run an ad at the beginning, 10 minutes later they would run another ad, 10 minutes later they would run another ad, and then of course the final ad at the end. To create the half-hour show. And yeah, sometimes those ads ran a long time, and it ended up being 15-minute programming. Like the show, half the show was watching ads. But things like Transformers, for example, they were absolutely 100% created to sell toys. So the show itself was an advertisement for their toys, and then they'd have ads on there to pay for the ads. It's crazy. absolutely crazy. All right. We're going to do the usual cool beans in the comments below. Doesn't have to be cool beans. It can be whatever you like. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a fantastic time doing it. We're going to make this happen. We're going to have fun doing it. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. It means you watching means the world to me. It really does. All right. Bye.